Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to do tonight, I have three pieces. I don't know if we'll get to all three of them, but I have a Pachad Yitzchak again from Rav Hutner, but I want to start with something new and end with something new. This is a sefer that we've never used before, a rabbi we've never used before, and it is just wonderful. I find his Torah is absolutely word. This is a sefer called Ibra de Dasha. Now, anyone who is familiar with the politics in the Israeli world, in the Hasidic world, there was a split in Ger some time ago, a few years ago, and the Rosh Hashiva of Ger began his own. He was became separate, and he is really, for lack of a better term, he's a rock star. I've seen him in action. He's gone down south to comfort people. He's been traveling all over America, all over the world, England, and every time he speaks, it's just I just find everything he says to be very special. So, uh, I have a grandson who, when he goes into a forum store, he can come out. He knows where every sefer is. So I asked him. He's learning in Bnei Brak, but he was in Yerushalayim. I said, "Can you pick up the sefer Ibra Dasha?" He said to me, "Zaidi, it's in this forum store in Kiryat Sans." So I went into this forum store on Friday, and the fellow running this forum store says he doesn't have it. He looked on the table, he looked here, he says, I said, "You have to have it." My grandson said, "It's here, it's here." So he calls up the owner of the store, and he goes on the other side of the store. He was at the wrong shelf, and he goes to another series of shelves, and he's looking up there, but I found it. It was right there. It was right there. Called Ibra de Dasha. And let's start with, I have the first piece on TRUMAH, of course. Um, the opening parsha, the opening psukim of the parsha, Vayikhu li Truma, commands Bnei Israel. Moshe commands Bnei Israel from the Baruch Vayikhu li Truma. Take for me a gift, right? Pirish Rashi, li lishmi, take it for my name. You know, that has to be l'shem shemayim. I want you have to give these gifts. Of course, the real question is, why does it say, all the Meforshim discuss it, take a gift, you're really giving a gift, right? Take a gift for the giving of the Beis HaMikdash, lishmi, it should be l'shem shemayim. It should be for no ulterior motives. So he quotes here from a very famous sefer called the Shev Shmaitza in his introduction. He asks a question, the tzarech bir. We have to understand what's going on here. How come the only mitzvah in the Torah where it says, do this lishma, Torah says it, do it l'shem shemayim, do it for the sake of heaven. Why only this mitzvah? Every mitzvah has to be done l'shem shemayim, right? Everything we do has to be for the sake of heaven. Every mitzvah requires that our intention should be for the right, for pristine, pure. Further, the Hari Amru Chazal, the rabbi say, "Le'olam yasak adam batoru b'mitzvot afilu shelo lishma." The truth is, a person should engage himself in the performance of Torah and mitzvahs, even not for the sake of heaven. Mitoch shelo lishma, we're doing it not sincerely. You will come to do it sincerely. V'yesh la'ir. I want to suggest in the second paragraph, one question will answer the other question, right? The reason why a person should engage in Torah, even if he doesn't mean it, right? The holiness of the mitzvah will bring him to do it. Eventually, he'll do it for the right reason. On yoter lishma, he'll even do it more for the sake of heaven. V'chein yishmor Shabbat, you keep Shabbos. Gam shelo lishma, if you do Shabbos, you're not into it, right? You're just doing it by rote. V'al yedei zeh yeh Shabbat she'achar kach yoter merumam. But if you do it, the next Shabbos will be on a higher level because the spiritual energy of Shabbos itself will move you in the direction of pristine purity. All mitzvahs we do. Sharia matarahi, the goal is shelebesof yagi adam lishma, that a person should reach that level of lishma for the sake of heaven. Avololi shaer bedargat shelo lishma, not to remain in the level of lo lishma, of insincerity. I'm doing it for insincere reasons, for personal reasons. Okay, that's all mitzvahs, right? But remember our original question? Why does the Torah say only by giving the gifts to build the Mishkan? It should be lishma. Why only here? So he says like this. That's by all the other mitzvahs, he says. We talk shelo lishma, bo lishma. You got time. Do the mitzvah this Shabbos, do it lo lishma, do it. But the spiritual energy from Shabbos will give you the strength to do it lishma next week. Aval trumat hadeshet, trumat hamishkan, gifting the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, mitzvah chad pa'amit. It's not, in modern Hebrew, chad pa'amit means disposable dishes, right? It's chad pa'amit. It's one time. This is it. You've got only one opportunity to gift to the Mishkan. V'lo yuchal achar kach lashuv litrom lishma. It's too late. If you don't do it lishma now, you're not going to do it lishma tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It's a one-time opportunity to gift to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Lechein, therefore, the Torah says here and only here, Vayichuli, take for me, sheyitnavdu l'shem shamayim. It should be for the sake of heaven. Ki kan sarach l'kayem miyad l'shma. You've got to do it right now for the right reason. V'im ki mitzvah achat misayet l'chaverta al yedei mitzvah zu, afilu shelo l'shma yavo l'kayem mitzvah l'shma. Well, maybe one mitzvah will affect another mitzvah. I'm not going into that now. Ki mitzvah go mitzvah. I do one mitzvah, shelo l'shma, might affect other mitzvahs. Mikol makom mitzvah zu lo yuchal yoter l'kayem l'shma. Even if one mitzvah I'll do it lo lishma, but it'll affect something else, but it won't. This mitzvah is finished. So it's chad pami. It's one time. Therefore, the Torah says lishma. The Torah says it has to be lishmi. Dafka. We have no choice. We have to work up that spiritual resolve to do it for the right reason. B'shev shmaisa mitaretz. This sefer that I quoted answers. Lefi divrei Alsha. He quotes a later authority, the Alsha, Arkodesh. Shemivaer, and he explains ma the ksiv vayichuli truma. Take for me a truma. Below vayitnuli. Right. That's the old question. You're supposed to. The command is to give a gift. Right. So why does it say? Why does it refer to as vayichu? Take for me a truma. He says like this: Mishum diisa b'Gemara. The Gemara in Kedushin says, "The ba'adam chashuv, important person, kabalato k'ninatinata." Right? You give something to the president, the prime minister, someone important, right? The giving is receiving, right? The fact that he takes your gift, you feel very important, right? Vafilu not if you're just giving it, it becomes holy. Ki b'mesha hichshiva lekabel mimenu chashiv ki'ilu hikabala mimenu. The fact that he appreciates that you gave it to him, you're getting something from him. So vayichuli truma, right? V'hanoten hu alokech, the person who gives is actually the one who receives. In fact, there's a famous paradigm that v'natnu, to give, the Torah says to give, frontwards and backwards spells v'natnu, right? You give, you take, you get, even when you receive, when you give. Moshe came, all the more so b'bora yitbarach shema, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you give something to the Ribbono Shel Olam, mikabli mimenu, you receive something from him. V'chashiv vayikchu, you're actually taking something. Aval kol zeh, but he says that's only dafka im noten lishma. If you do it sincerely, if you do it l'shem shemayim. Ki habach, he quotes another authority, Katav, writes the dafki im noten la'adam chashuv b'matana gemura. If you give somebody an important person, you actually gift it to him. Hashuv kabalato kenetina. Then his receiving it is to you like you've gotten something, right? You received. You took something. Avalim notein al menat lahachzir. There's such a thing as giving a gift on the condition I'm lending it to you. Matana al menat lahachzir. Like by a lulav. It's supposed to be your lulav. So if you give it to someone else to use to make the bracha, he doesn't have a lulav, it's a matana al manat lahachzir. You have to give it to him on condition he's going to give it back to you. Otherwise, when you take it back from him, it's not yours anymore, right? So if you give a gift to an important person, matana al manat lahachzir. Here, Rabbi, use my lulav, right? La'adam chashuv loma, it doesn't help, right? The aval is a gifting. Mikol makom, that being said, ein hanotein margish chashivut bekach. The gifter doesn't really feel it that way, right? He's really giving him his thing. He's not getting anything back. He's getting his own thing back. V'im kein hagam sha'amru chazal, even though rabbis say, hanotein pruta letzedakah, al menat sheyeh beneath, sheyeh beni. Gemara says if someone gives tzedakah on the condition my son should be healed, my son is sick, I'm giving it on condition my son should be healed. Hari's at tzaddik gomer, he's a tzaddik. He's giving tzedakah. Oh, tzedakah gemura, right? Right? Matanato matana. It's a matana. Av shi al manat lahachzir, but he wants to get something back in return. He's giving it for an ulterior motive. L'kabel pras me'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he wants to receive something from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Guadin kan, here too, betruma. Av shi noten shelo lishma, even if you give it shelo lishma. Bishvil eze pras, havinatin, it's still a gift. Still a gift. Mikol makom, that being said, however, lo chashiv kabbalah, you're not really receiving anything. Ki ein kan hanat kabbalat ha'adam chashuv kedivri habach. Because the guy who receives it, the Ribono Shalom, you're giving something to the Ribono Shalom insincerely. Well, the Ribono Shalom, okay, thank you very much, but he doesn't appreciate it that much, right? You're not being sincere with me. You're not being real with me. You're not being straight with me. So you're not really getting anything back from him. That's giving. Pirush Rashi lilishmi. Therefore, Rashi says there's no two ways about it. It has to be l'shem shemayim. You can't give it to the Ribono Shalom insincerely because you want something back. That's not going to give you satisfaction. You're just waiting for something. That's what the Alshach is saying. It's a one-time deal. You have no choice. And that's why it's the only place in the Torah that we're told to do the mitzvah l'shma. One more point he makes. But let me go a little deeper. I want to say something else. This is where he puts in his own Torah. A gift, proper gift to God, it is vayikhu. When I give to him, I'm getting something. It's not possible to give God anything. What does God need? Right? He doesn't need anything. Right? Umikra Male Amar Akasu, the Torah says, Eza Bayit Asher Tivnuli V'i Eza Makom Menuchati. You can't give me anything. Harizeh Chuchat Tluya, it's a contradiction in terms. Lachshov, to think Sheshayach La'adam La'asot Makom LaKodesh Baruch Hu, that you're going to do something for the Rebbe, you're going to build a house for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he really needs it? V'harei La'adam Atzmo Ein Makom Klal. Ki Heichan Hanach Omer Baruch Hu Mekomo Shalom. The Ribono Shalom is the whole world. So what are you going to give the Ribono Shalom? You're going to give nothing. Kedichtiv, as it says, Mitachet Zerot Olam. The whole world is under his feet. V'hanoten LaKodesh Baruch Hu. If you give to HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'hargasha, with the feeling sheyesh lo mishel atzmo v'noten LaKodesh Baruch Hu, I have something and I'm giving it to God. He builds a house for God, builds a shul, let's say. The temple, we're talking about the Mishkan, Kaviyachol. Zui einenu hanadava ratzuya. This is not sincere. It's not sincere. Ve'ein bo hashrat hashchina. God doesn't dwell in such a dwelling. Ela kamosha pasuk Messiah, but the Torah ends va'al zeh abit al oni v'naka ruach v'chared al divarai. There's a failure here. Misha notain im shiflut v'anova. But if somebody gives out of poverty, out of total humility, and he puts in Yiddish, whatever he says in Yiddish, sheyodea shehakol shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I am giving something to the Mishkan. but I know full well that I don't need to give anything. The Rebbe Shem can do anything he wants. Zui on a divot lev, that is coming from the heart. It means giving something knowing that it's not really from me because everything I have, if it's from him, right? Everything I have is really from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So by giving him, I'm not really giving him anything. I'm surrendering everything to the Rebbe Shem, admitting that everything is really his. The more humble the person is, right? The God will, so vayikach, that he will receive godliness from the Rebbe Shalom. That's why it says, instead of vayitnu, vayikach, but that vayitnu, that I'm giving, my gift, is really, I understand it's not a gift. I'm giving it to the Rebbe Shalom, it's not mine, it's his. I'm giving it to him, he has everything. I'm giving him mine, which is his, and he has his. Right? Right? So I get something from that. The Rebbe Shalom gives me spirituality with that. I live on a very higher plane. Okay, that's what he says. We'll have time for one more thing from him, I hope. Let's go to Rav Hutner on page 2. Now here, Rav Hutner is starts out with a pasuk in our parsha, and in our parsha, the Shulchan, we have in the TRUMAH, we have the various parts of the Mishkan are described, the technical structure of them, and there's a Shulchan. There's a table upon which we put the lechem apanim, the loaves of bread that miraculously stay fresh from Friday to Friday, from Shabbos to Shabbos. And the Ramban writes on the pasuk, it says, Azer Zahav Saviv. It has a rim, a crown, a golden crown. Now, let me give a little bit of an introduction of what he's going to try to bring out here. When the world was created, God created Bereshit moments. That when God said, Ki Tov Ma'od, the world was good. Ki Tov Ma'od means that he created things. The world was created Yesh Me'ayin. Once he created the world, there's nothing that can be created anymore, right? Everything comes from the original creation. That's Tov Me'od. It's very good. Everything is in the creation. But something happened terribly when Adam sinned, right? Kates V'Dardar, he sinned in Gan Eden. That ability was removed, and there had to be new Bereshit moments, which were already hidden in the world, and those Bereshit moments had to appear as time goes on. So that's what he's going to discuss here. That there are certain Bereshit moments that will happen again because there was a stoppage, let's say, of Bereshit moments. When we sinned, we have to bring back the Bereshit moments through our efforts, okay? So now, the first one he's going to talk about is the Shulchan. The Ramban on the Shulchan, on the table in the Mishkan, Bi'ar Soda Shulchan, he reveals the secret of the table. Ki birchar Hashem me'ed riyat ha'olam, lo tivara yesh me'ayin. The blessing of God, which he created at the beginning of the world, was that after that, nothing was created ex nihilo. Everything that will be created for something that already exists, right? The only one time that things were created ex nihilo were at the creation of the world. Everything was created from nothing. But after that, things that have to be created or recreated, let's say, because of the sin of man, will be created through something that already exists. Aval olam kiminhago, the world goes on regularly. Everything that's created comes from the world itself. Dichtiv, as it says, Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa, v'hine tov me'od. God created the world, and he set it in motion, and now it's tov me'od. Everything is going to come automatically from the world itself. Aval ka'asher yiyeh sham shorish davar tachul alav habracha. But if there's something that has a source material, a bereshit moment kind of thing, v'tosif bo kasher amar, I'll give you an example, he says. He's going to bring two examples from Tanakh. Elisha came across a woman. This is in Malachim Beit. Elisha, who was the great student of Eliyahu, he came across the widow of Ovadia the prophet. Ovadia the prophet was an amazing person. And when one of the wicked kings killed prophets, he took 100 prophets and hid them in a cave. He saved 100 prophets. So now Avadia's widow is penniless. So he sees her. Elisha says, "Higidi li ma yesh lecha ba. What do you have in your house?" V'hala bracha al asof hamalei kol hakelim. Everything up in her house. Took all the oil. She had a little thing of oil, and he filled everything. She'd bring me the oil. He lit it. He filled the whole house with oil, and she had money from the oil to buy things. Right? He created something sort of new, right, out of something that was already there. A little bit of oil. Eliyahu, and by Eliyahu is Rabbi himself back in Malachim Aleph, right? He found a widow, also a woman, a poor widow, and he asked her to give him something to eat, give him something to drink. That I only have I not even have enough to make a bread. I'll bake a little bit of a biscuit or something, and I'll give it for me and my son, and I'll give it to you. So once she did that chesed, like the chesed of Avadia, saving the prophets, that created a moment, a Bereshis moment. Kad hakemach lo kalata v'tzafachat hashemen lo chaser. So she had everything she wanted. He miraculously made her have bread and water and oil. She had everything. She had everything she needed, and enough for parnasa. So v'kacha shulchan. So to the shulchan. What's the shulchan? The lechem upon him, and the bread that we put on the table in the Mishkan. Bo tachol habracha. The bracha is in that bread. It's on that table. That's the zer zahav. That's the golden crown. Yavo hasova l'kol Yisrael. Jews will have food to eat because of the new Bereshit moment of the Shulchan. In other words, Ad Kan. That's the Ramban. Okay. V'hainu shalom medubar kan. We're not talking these stories here about Elisha and Eliyahu, not that they can abracadabra change nature. It's not that they change nature. The nature's already there. Hashem. It's a blessing of Hashem because of the chesed of her husband. And because of the chesed that this woman did to Eliyahu by giving her the crumbs that she had. That created that changed the direction of the world from the sin of Adam to the piety of humankind, and that will bring us back to the Tov Ma'od moment, to the Bereshit moment. Me'ed hayot ha'olam lo tavra yesh me'ayin ela olam kiminhago noig. Nothing has changed. He can't recreate the world, but he can bring something from the created world itself. It's created, but I can still bring good out of the world. Even though you ruined that. You ruined that by sinning. But if Jewish people do the right thing, then the world will recreate that spiritual destiny, and that's what Eliyahu did, that's what Elisha did, and that is the Shulchan. That the Shulchan in the Beit HaMikdash and the Mishkan has the power to feed the Jewish people by performing the mitzvah. In the Mishkan of the Lechem Apanim, the Jewish people will have food to eat. V'hainu, next paragraph. Shabri mitzad atzmo, the creation by itself, is tov meod. The world is potentially very good, very good. Malaya bracha, it's full of bracha, hidden. Just like God said at the beginning of creation. V'navin dvarav, we have to understand the Ramban. Derech ma she'anu roim, ta'alich shel tzmicha, when you see a flower growing. Mitoch garin katan, you put a little seed in the ground. Yotze shefa shel perot, and you have an amazing fruit tree that comes, right? Because it's already there. It looks like it's new, but it's not new. Gidul ze bracha shel hitpashtuti. This is the bracha of Tov Meod. Talich ze talich tiviu. This is nature, Mother Nature. This is Tov Meod that God created. Kimin hago shel olam. It's the way of the world. Gidul ze, the growth of this little seed into a tree and fruits. Ze natun betivo shel olam. This was infused into the creation of the world. Bituyu letov meod. This is the Tov Meod of the world. God, it's functioning the way it was created. Shel Abriya Tov Moed. Pirush, Hitpashtut HaTov, the spreading of goodness. V'zui bracha, that's a bracha. A bracha is the spreading of goodness. Amnam Teva Rishoni, but the original Tov Meod, the original ability that the world will spread all of its goodness that was created, Nifgam, was destroyed. Al Yidei Oto Maisa Shabikvuto Nigzar Kotz V'darder Tatzmiachla. The sin of man, of Adam and Chava, when he was punished and told, Kotz V'darder Tatzmiachla, you're going to plow, you're going to work, but you're going to have thorns and thistles. It's not going to be easy. B'tihaylichi habracha shel ha'olam uchnas gorem shel kilkul v'chisaron. In place of that great bracha, which existed in the world, came this terrible, terrible travesty, this blockage of the bracha. Well, if you're Ramban, but from this Ramban in paragraph 3, lamadnu yesod chadash, we're learning something, a new fundamental thing here. Kepulat Elisha, what Elisha accomplished, right, by giving this woman oil and bread and parnasa, Eino rak inyan shel mofed. It's not a miracle. It was not a miracle. Shel shinui teva levad. He didn't really change anything. Elisha bekana yakochu shel Elisha. The power of Elisha was lahachzir et atov meod. He brought back that hitpashtut, that ability to take from the existing world already that little bit of oil and that little bit of flour, and create more oil and more flour. Hamakor. So it all came. It all came back. This Tov Meod came back through the oil and the bread that he made. That bracha should come. Same thing with Elisha, with the widow of Avadia, because of the chesed of Avadia. L'saleket Miniat Kotz V'darder, he removed the thorns and the thistles. B'chtei la'agila Tov Meod, to come back to Tov Meod. But what brought it about was the chesed of Eliyahu, and the chesed of Avadia, that brought this out from the world itself, Hamakori, from the source. Umisham nimshach shefarav. V'tov Meod, the goodness nemar al abriya al hakil al hakayim, the world that exists already. Imkein tzrichim. You need something that's already created to bring back that spreading of goodness, of bracha, of blessing. Now, so we've got the Shulchan, we've got Elisha bringing life back to the widow of Avadia, and Eliyahu bringing life back to a widow, and further on bringing life back to a child who was sick, who was dying, who was dead, right? We were not going to go to that, but now he brings another one. Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael. Now we have to understand Kemailat Eretz Yisrael. What's this greatness about Eretz Yisrael that we say, Shel Zavat Chalav Udvash? It's flowing with milk and honey. What's the great bracha that Eretz Yisrael is flowing with milk and honey? Of course, it's talking about the miraculous, what we have done with Klal Yisrael, the gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, what we brought back life to Eretz Yisrael, right? It's not just that we have chalav, we have milk, and we have date honey. No. Ela shemorihi al tchuna shel zavat. The key word of the bracha here is not the milk and the honey, but it's the flowing, the hitpashtut, the spreading, that it is overflowing. That is the bracha. Shel birchat bracha uribui, that it's overflowing, it's flowing. Shel bracha uribui. V'kan nifna lahatchalas divrei Ramban. Now we can go back to the Ramban. B'inyan asir hashulchan. That was the Shulchan. Shemityaches lezeh shehashulchan hu Simon LaMalchut. That's why it's called, it has a crown. That's Malchus, that's kingship. Osher, wealth, Ugedula, greatness amongst the Jewish people. Mishulchan Zeh, from this table of kingship of greatness, Yotzu Ashirut L'Kol Yisrael, the entire Jewish people. have food to eat because of the food, the bread that's on the table of the shulchan. Just remove that. Just do tshuva. Bring about a better world. Azai rak al mitziuto shel shorish davar. You create a bereshit moment, a new source. Levad, a new tov meod source. Levad kvar tachul bracha. The bracha is going to come. Pasher yesham dorish. Davar tachol alav habracha v'tosif. Once you have the root, everything will come from it. Eretz Yisrael is one of those new bereshit moments. Dar zahav hu hasimin la shirut. That golden on the shulchan, the golden rim on the crown on the shulchan was that sign. V'simin zeh mishameh shorish davar. It's a bereshit moment. It's a new moment. It's a tov meod moment. Lihish pashtut hashirut b'Yisrael, to spread the wealth to the Jewish people. Now, final paragraph. Masha Amar al Eretz Yisrael zavat chalav udvash, that we say Eretz Yisrael is zavat chalav udvash. Hakavana hi shekadushat Eretz Yisrael, the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. Tashpiyah shal chalav udvash shabo yachol ribui. It's the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael that creates the ribui in the world. Unfortunately, the world is not really aware of that, or maybe they're too aware of that, and they're jealous of it and want to destroy it. Hadgasha kan hi al koach habracha hatov meod. This is the bereshit moment, the tov meod moment of the shulchan and of Eretz Yisrael. Val yado tofeset bracha, and through that comes bracha. Shebezeh dome kedushat Eretz Yisrael, the kedushat shulchan hamishkan. So the sanctity, the holiness of Eretz Yisrael is similar to the holiness of the table, because Eretz Yisrael, in many ways, it does provide to the entire Jewish world, wherever they are. And in fact, it's really the center of the universe. You see it. They can't get out of the news, right? The world is trying to destroy it. The insanity of what's going on is perhaps because they don't want to recognize the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. I mean, when you see what's going on, it boggles the mind. I don't really want to get into politics, but how America is now treating the prime minister and Israel, and not to go to Rafah, and the Palestinians. The Egyptians built a brick wall with they have tanks at the border, a brick wall, and wire, so that the Palestinians from Rafah cannot get in. They can't get in. No Arab country wants to take the Palestinians. Why? With Ukraine, every country in Europe and the United States, Canada, the world, England, everybody took from Ukraine. But here they're saying that what Israel's doing, they're going to kill the Palestinians. It's insane. It's insane what's going on, right? That's only one example. I think all of you are following the news, knew more. I think because they can't handle the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. They can't handle what we are. Baruch Hu Hashem Yirachem. Okay. Final piece, also from this Ibra Dasha, and one of the items that the Torah speaks about in the Mishkan is the Aron HaKodesh. There was an Aron, the Aron HaKodesh that we have in a Beit Knesset, in a shul, is mirrored after, which holds the Sefer Torah, is mirrored after the Aron HaKodesh which is the microchip really of the temple, the Mishkan, and that's the where the Shnei Luchot, the two tablets, were housed. So he wants to talk about something which relates to this, and he quotes a Gemara in Shabbos. Ba'avon shnei dvarim amaratzas mesim. Because of two sins, unlettered, unschooled people will not live a full life. He really means, I think, a spiritual life. It doesn't mean they're going to die. It's a punishment. Al shekorin, in others, they don't get it. Al shekorin la'aron HaKodesh arna, because they call the Holy Ark a cupboard, an aron, a cupboard. Well, shekorin leveit HaKnesset beit am, that they refer to the shul as a house of the people. In fact, I remember there was a non-Orthodox shul in Toronto many years ago called Beit Am. They called themselves Beit Am, the Beit Am shul. It actually disappeared. Doesn't exist anymore. The shul, whole neighborhood fell apart. It just didn't work out. But Pirush Rashi, Loshen bizui, this is an insult. Likrot lebeit knesset makom shemit kapsim bo hakol. You're saying that, it's a Jewish community center. That's basically what you're saying. The shul, Beit Knesset, is a Jewish community center, place where everybody gathers. V'chein shekorin la'aron kodesh, arna, you're calling it a closet. Shekacha yukorin lemigdalot shalem, that's what they call their closets, right? An arna. They call it an arna. So they're calling the arna kodesh a closet, right? The Hamarsha commentary, Mivar, he explains, shalora kipshuto, it's not so simple. It's not only that they're insulting, this is demeaning and diminishing the Beit Knesset. These unschooled people, they don't realize that God is here. The Rebbeinu Shalom is here. I mean, it's a Jewish community center, Beit Am. Beit HaKnesset, it's a place that brings together HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the meeting place of Bnei Israel and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As the Rabbi say, how do you know that God is found in a shul? Because God is found in the congregation of God. When they call the house of the people, it's to serve the needs of the Jewish people, right? Social life for the Jewish people, whatever. But there's no godliness, right? That's the Marsha. Okay, but he wants to add something. V'yesh lomar, shekamo kein, mashakorin, well, first he says, Mashar Kodesh, a closet. Kikasu Atosus, one of the commentaries writes, the koyel aron shebeit HaKnesset. We're talking about not only in the Beit HaMikdash or the Mishkan. We're talking about the shul. The Ashkechan de Korele Aaron Amrinan Pisha va'Aaron Mitzdarfin. There is an opinion, by the way, in the Shulchan Aruch, in the Gemara, we don't paskin like that. 10 people plus an Aaron can make a minyan. If you have 9 people, my math is incorrect. If you have 9 people plus the Aron HaKodesh, you can have a minyan, right? That's the power of the Aron HaKodesh. We don't paskin like that, but maybe Rabbi Chidah, another Rabbi Shamati, Aaron. What does Aaron mean? The letters of Aleph, Reish, Vav, Nun, Rosh Tevos, Echad, Roa, Ve'eno, Nira. Someone, the one person who is Roa, Ve'eno, Nira, the one who sees and is not seen. When Aaron is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Pisha v'Aaron makes a minyan, means 9 Jews, and Echad Roa ve'eno nira, the one who sees and is not seen, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ayno HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Beautiful. Ayin Sham, HaKadosh Baruch Hu nimtza b'chol makom. Rak hu eino nira. God is everywhere, but we don't see him. V'hamei aratzas, the unschooled people, shekorin lo arna, they call him closet. Lo rak hazilzul, it's not only the diminishment, the insult. They don't have the feeling, the sense, the intuition, that God is with us. They don't live with the understanding, the sense that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives life to the entire world. The next column. That's what he says, they die. If they call the shul a Beit Am, they call the Aron Kodesh a closet, they die. Now, what does that mean? Kulam metim. Hatu amaratzim metim kodem talmidei chachamim. Do unschooled people die before Torah scholars? Everybody dies. But it means that even in their life, they're considered as dead, right? They're dead men walking. Even though they're alive, they're not living a real, meaningful life. She'ein lehem et hachiyut hamitit. They don't have really the what life is all about. Heim achein niraim kechayim. They look like they're alive. Aval ein lehem chiyut. There's no God in their world. Midi dehavi aznav halata sheim. You take the tail of a lata, I guess a weasel. Deim chodchin otav. You cut it off mefarechet. It'll move around. Achaticha v'afal pi she'ein bo chiyut. It's not alive anymore. One has to always feel the presence of God. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi. I put God in front of me. In many shuls, actually, they have that on the Aron Kodesh. Finally, he says, finally, he says, Ve'ein hadvarim amur beveit hakneset bilvad. This is not only about a shul. Aber b'chol, writes in Yiddish shtub. Every Jewish ma'on l'shchina. Ma'on l'shchina is a house of God. So we put a mezuzah on the door. It's God's house. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nimtza. God is in every house. Kimosha Amru Chazal, Shlosha Shutfin Ba'adam. There are three partners in the creation of man. HaKadosh Baruch Hu va'abi v'imo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu and husband and wife. V'al lizaher lo ligaresh u'lesalek et hashchina. Person has to be very careful not to chase God out of the house. Sha'bayit yeh naki me'tavot. So that the house will be clean from personal passions and desires. Im shiflut v'hachno, but it'll create a sense of humility and modesty. Ukemaimer Rabbi Mikotz, the Kotzker says, Hey Chana Kodesh Baruch Hu Nimtza. Where's God found? He says, where's God found? V'melostem arayin. Wherever you let him in. Wherever you let him in, God is everywhere. B'makom she'ein megarshim oto misham, where you don't throw him out. That's where God's going to be found. Ubifrat chatan bereshit darko alav l'kadesh et beito. So the first thing we have to do is be mekadesh our home. Sheyeh Yiddish should be a Jewish home. Kemoshe mesupar al echad miziknei hachasidim be'ir Tveria. Story about a Jew in Tveria. Shahayu sholchin lo kesef michutz laaretz sheilech litpalel b'mekom hakdoshim. It's a very holy Jew in Tveria. For years, people sent money to him that he should go daven by the holy places for illness, to heal illness, to solve shalom bayis problems. He was a holy Jew, and he would pray. When he was an old man, he didn't have the strength to go daven by the kforim, by the holy places. Amar, he said, Shiyasa beito beit hamikdash. I'm going to make my house in the beit hamikdash. Tulchano mitato mizbeach. I'm going to daven in the house. So this idea, I think, is just a charming idea. Calling the Beit HaKnesset a Jewish community center is not just that it's an insult, but it's that you've taken God out of the equation. That the Ribono Shel Olam is part of the equation in the Beit HaMikdash, in the shul, and in the private Jewish home. Okay, so this is Rav Shaul Alter, the Ger Rosh Hashiva, a little bit of Hasidic charming thought.